Video 3 of 3, 11:23. I have to say this at the beginning of every video. Sorry, people that are here. I appreciate you. I would really appreciate it if you tell me that you like this video or not, so we can make it better. I do these for you. So if you're not liking the video, that means there's something you didn't like. Tell me what it is so I can make it so that you will like this video next time. That's how we improve. Only 10% of you are doing that. Thanks for that 10%, by the way. Okay, Palo Alto Networks, good company, good P&L. They just reported, that's out of the way. Fallen. So if you look at prior behavior, you see that long stick up to 212. So you say, okay, 212 is the dead zone. Anything above 212 should be near impossible. Another dead zone is 202, 200 to 202. Those are easy numbers to remember. If I'm long from 202 and I get a bounce to 202, I exit. If I was trading, if I was investing, nothing to do. I don't think you can break out of 202 easily without a new all-time high in the market. Palo Alto has a lot of support all the way through 165. I don't want to say if it loses 165, but if it does, we open a chapter to the 152s. I'm not going to tell you how low it goes because I don't want to scare people or cause people to short. This is a nothing to do here. You're in the middle of the range between incredibly tough support and incredibly tough resistance. So you're kind of stuck. So you sell rallies, expect some difficulty. You can sell a put spread now. And if they do rally, you can try to do a credit call spread and create income. Or just sell a put spread and hope that the market stabilizes. If I'm long shares, I wouldn't be worried about it. Palantir, I am no longer short. Whew, that was a tough short. I had to spend some money defending myself. I wasted money on insurance, so I didn't make as much money as I would have. But that was the right thing to do. Okay, back to the company itself. Amazing company. They've been doing this AI thing for more than like almost a decade and a half. I think they're 15, 16 years at it. And now the market came to them. So they have a good leadership role. I think the CEO is too emotional in his public appearances, and that detracts from the attractiveness of the mystery of the stock. And so the biggest beef is valuation. The expectations were through the roof. At its highs, this was almost 140 times sales. Folks, 140 times sales doesn't happen in an S&P stock. That means if you buy the shares, you are saying to the owner of the company from which you buy the shares, I'm going to give you credit for 140 years worth of your current sales. What is your expectation? How fast do you think they're going to grow the company 140 times? It doesn't happen. For perspective, as fast as NVIDIA has grown, which was faster than this company and bigger than this company and is changing the world and is in control of the whole world and is worth $5 trillion, that number for NVIDIA is under 30. So at the height, it was 4 to 5 times more expensive than NVIDIA. It still is the most expensive stock in the S&P at 110 price to sales, maybe now a little bit less, 91. That's still 5 times more than NVIDIA. So this stock has miles to go before it becomes a bargain. I'm no longer shorting it. I'm done. If I ever short it again, I'll just spend a couple of grand buying a put and cut it loose if I lose 500, and that's it. So support zone, 128 or lower would give me a level I can trade. Forget the financials I just spoke about. Company's amazing. Watch out for the CEO comments. He's one-sided, he's political, and he's an American. So he's speaking with that tone, so you have to mention it. It's a liability. The CEO should shut his mouth and just do his business and tell you how business is good. So don't be upset. I'm looking out for the company. 180 is a pivotal zone. 140 is a pivotal zone. So now you're stuck between 180 and 140. They should ping pong in there. Rallies, they might be sold, and it's prone to headlines from everywhere. All right. Having said that, I hope I didn't piss anybody off. This is to look out for people. I really don't care what this company does anymore. I'm out. PayPal, I want to caution you going long PayPal. On paper, it's a good long. In 2022, it wouldn't find a floor. And then at the end of the drop, I figured it out. This thing is tied to the hip with Bitcoin for some reason, largely. So the company is great. The business is great. It's oversold down here. It's worth a long. I would sell puts to own shares, but be ready to own the shares. And resistance anywhere above 66 should be pretty darn near impossible. Look, that support zone they lost. Okay, so now they're inside the April support zone. Like, tell me what's going to make it lose its April support. It should be impossible. So if you're long here, don't be shaken out easily. If you want to take longs on this dip, you should have up 5% in one day. Up, looks like more than that in 2 days. Yeah, 4 to 6%. Buy it on the next dip or sell a put spread on the next dip or puts. Roblox, falling off a cliff. There might be something going on because this company's sales are pretty good. You can see that hot pink zone. That should be bulletproof. So if you're able to sell a put inside that hot pink zone on the left, that might be something. I'll add it to my to-do. But do your homework first. Like, is there a fundamental reason? Like, was there a material change in their business going forward? Technically, I can explain 78 on this debacle. Technically, I can tell you 120 or higher should be darn near impossible this year or early next. RIVN. RIVN. There's plenty of RIVNs around my house. I live right next to their company. Let's see here. Massive June candles. All of this is one candle for June. Is that possible? There's no way that was... Wow. Anyway, so good support at 1350. 13.2 should be solid footing. So if you want to sell puts to own shares and you're an investor, that's fine. If you own shares, there's nothing to do here. If you want to own shares as an investment, go right ahead. Just make sure you have room to double it and don't double it for months. Rocket Lab. This stock is being sold on every rally and making a lower low. You'd think they would hit support and say, okay, no mas. This is one of those spots, but you would have thought this was one. But you see how they... Ooh, okay. Earlier, we talked about head and shoulders, and I said, this is a head and shoulder, the target of which can be this or that. So they weren't able to recover. I'm not going to put that line there. That's going to scare people out. This here is normal. So this effort failed almost surgically where it should have. Boink. So they might drift lower into this green zone. So you're close to a support zone and a target. Now, the target you saw can be lower. But that means the whole scenario is gone. Leave a shadow of the doubt for it. Just know that it's in the back of your head. I don't know what that is. Roper Technologies, what do they do? Aegis Provision, Engineering Product Solutions, Global Niche Markets. Okay. Careful. This cluster, if it fails, they end up in low 400s. And it looks like very difficult to overcome that. The chart is not pretty. StarBucks. Okay. StarBucks. Good coffee, bad chart. Okay, let me explain it simply. The company is on rails. They have like a huge moat, and it's an experience. Nobody's going to stop drinking coffee. I had friends during the 08 crisis that were in the mortgage industry, and they were flat out broke, and their cars are getting repossessed, and they still wouldn't skip on their morning routine of $12 for a coffee and a muffin. I couldn't understand it, but I do understand it. It's like part of your thing. You do this every morning, and you're not going to stop. So anyway, technically, the chart is stuck. So I think I said, don't chase it into 88. You have prior fails, you have prior support. It's pretty pivotal, 88. And then you have all these blue things. Well, that looks like a wave. Well, these are moving averages, which actually represent the price action historically. And I place them at points that are miles apart at different times and different levels, and they're all converging here. So it's not going to be easy to take out that blue wave. And conversely, you can assume that there's one below. Anything below 77 should be darn near impossible. So as long as you're realistic with that range, you can probably sell things to create cash from it. Investment for the long term, fine. Yes, why not? I wouldn't add to current position though. Okay. SEZL. I like saying this company name. I'm probably saying it wrong. I don't even know what they do. Fintech, no? Yes. So the weird thing about fintech stocks when they go sour like this tells me that like Square at the time was a fintech company. Why is it doing this? And then it was tied to Bitcoin. I wonder if this one is also tied to Bitcoin. What do you say? We tie it to Bitcoin here. What do you think? We'll put ZBTC. Let's see if it skews the chart to where I need. Look at this. It's hard to tell. Let me zoom in. Huh. But you can kind of make the argument because Bitcoin is the ultimate fintech, right? Right? Think about it. Crypto, blockchain, fintech on crack, financial technology. So this one is investable. Like if you think this company is going to do well in the future, it's $44. If you start nibbling here, you're not making a massive mistake. You look left and it has had good support. Yes, it extends through 20, but there are things you can do with puts that you can actually enter at that price. So this is a candidate for stock alternative strategy. If you know the company, you're going to be long for the long term. You sell puts, you get cash, and you either buy it at a lower price because you sold the put, and you also engage yourself with some sort of a call strategy that gets you long as well, like a call calendar or one of the Ragu trades. So come into the live room, we can really discuss it. Like if I said sell the open January put and somebody did that and they're losing money and they bought it back and booked a loss, that somebody wasn't honest about selling the put. If I sold the put to own shares, I wouldn't have blinked on this dip. I would have said, give me the shares. I would make money. Same conversation as earlier in the first video. So don't sell a put you don't want to honor, because then you end up booking a big loss, as opposed to just say, give me the shares. You wake up owning the shares, you sell the shares, no harm done. In fact, you make money. We can do anything at the end if you want to. Yes. So on this one, I can even buy leaps calls. Like if you really wanted to get involved, just buy a leap or two. Make sure you have room to double your order. You can buy shares. Probably that's the best thing. Let's say if I wanted to own 200 shares and I don't want to sell puts, I'm okay buying shares here. Okay, I'll buy the shares, only 100, and I will sell one call at 60 or 65. If it spikes, they take me out of my shares and I make from here to 65 and then I keep the premium. So I would have ridden it 20% or so. Well, fine. So, or 10% or so. So you can do that, but leave room to add. Silver. Okay, so I said some pretty violent things about silver. And this is their effort to recover the crash from 2011. Gold blew past that crash. Back in 2011, silver hasn't yet, because in 2011, silver outdid gold by a mile. That's why gold was able to break out and not silver. Because if I remember correctly, back then they were also saying, oh, you know, silver is silver and it's also an industrial metal, so it's a double whammy, so they gave it more upside. These two boxes, okay, those are monster moves from 2 days. About a month apart. Tell me what happens. Wake me up when we leave the edges of these two boxes. I don't think we can take out the red box. I could be wrong. I think silver is a top and a top for a while. So if we lose the white box, I think we end up at 40 or lower. If you twist my arm on silver, I would own puts. In fact, I do own puts. They've been hit and miss, but luckily they're not expensive to buy. So you can miss a couple and then hit one big one and make up all the difference. So careful if you're going long. I see why you're going long, but you should pay attention to the red box. So anything above 47.50 would be good news. If they can't take out 47.50, they're probably exhausted. SOFI. Okay, so I have people in the room, friends I would call them, because they've been in the service for about 10 years maybe. They sold puts because they don't mind being long SOFI. So I think the way they did it is they sold puts here and they made money and they exited or they expired, and then they sold put here and they may have been assigned shares. But I specifically heard him say, I don't mind owning the shares. In that case, he didn't lose anything. He got the shares he wanted at the price he wanted. So make sure when you sell puts, you are that person. Okay. So now I can tell you that it's going to be a struggle to get out of 27. If you don't get out of 27, you may go to 22 or lower. I know it's impossible for people to understand. We went long the stock under 5 multiple times and under 6 multiple times. And once it went above 14, I said, okay, now it's gone different. Now it's a different stock. Okay, so this path is still available, even though they took a detour higher. I can almost show you the visual on it. Stick with me here. You're going to have to use some imagination. Trust me when I tell you, I'm pretty darn good with the charts. You can say anything above this line was a mistake. You can say that. Just like I say that on the way down. So if that's the case, the target should be lower than this. Okay, and then I'll take this line out. I don't want it to influence anybody. Look left. This is probably your best guide right now. Whatever happened in July of this year, the earnings. So it's worth it if you draw a box around that and say this is the July earnings range. I'll tell you why this is important. July 25 earnings range. It's not the actual earnings reaction. It's just an extra couple of days. The reason why I say this, earnings bring out emotional moves, like the best love and the best hate. Somebody said, "Oh my gosh, it's beautiful." And somebody said, "What are you talking about?" So those are two hugely hugely emotional moves, the best and the worst. And them bouncing off of that box makes total sense. So inside that box should be bulletproof support is what I'm saying. So gauge your entry. If you just went long as an investment, you're not making an obvious mistake unless you went in all in. In which case, don't add unless it goes below 19. And then you'll be good. If you sold puts to own shares now, and you sold them below 20, bulletproof. In fact, I'm going to put it on my to-do list for that. I don't want to own it above 20. I don't think it's a proven model yet. We haven't gone through a consumer crisis yet with this kind. Because if the wholesale market dries up, these companies will be SOL. Okay. We hang out all day. What are you talking about? So this is Symbiotic, a robotics company. So if AI is going to be here to stay, robotics are going to be here to come. And so Tesla keeps touting this humanoid that walks around. So, I like the ingenuity. I call bull on that one. I'm just saying, instinct tells me that thing is vaporware like the 80s and 90s of Microsoft. I've seen this robot move around for 5 years at least. If they've had that robot moving that well 5 years ago and still is not on pre-order, they're lying. It's remote controlled. So anyway, to have you say, I love the robotics. I wanted it for a career when I was 8. And this is a good base. This is a good starting point. Whether it goes lower or higher, I don't care. If you want to get involved in it, yes. The only hiccup is they report earnings like soon, maybe tomorrow. So come to me in the live room before the bell so we can strategize what we want to do. You can sell a put to be assigned into the earnings at 40. You can buy shares, you can buy a call, but don't buy this week's. Okay, you can sell this week's puts, but don't buy this week's. They'll be super expensive. Buy them out in time and only have positions. Yeah, I like the concept. And PNL, they do have a PNL. That's beautiful. TJX. No, don't buy. This here is not an obvious point of entry. That's a hell of a trend. What is going on with TJX? TJX? Like the store? What? Yeah, I'm not going to say a short, but it's it's a short. But you can't short it. Look at this. This is, somebody is going to have to explain this to me. What is happening here? Wow. There's a story behind it. I'm not going to add in my to-do list that I'll be tempted to buy a put or something. No. Okay, I wouldn't touch either of those two stocks. But I do like the way you're thinking. Okay, Tesla. According to this daily chart, the red W says we're approaching target 1. Target 2 is 310. Okay, so how about I say it's well off the highs and it can go lower, closer to 340. That would be a little milder thing to say. And recognize that this stock is on crack because the person that leads it is he incites emotion. He excites people who like him and entices people who hate him. But when it comes to money, I think everybody likes him because he does pretty good things in the stock, right? So dips into 360 and 350 should find pretty solid support. And just the same logic would say rallies into 440 should be very, very difficult. So now you have a trade range, 360, 440. So why not sell a put spread and sell a call spread? This way you capture both. I don't want to do it for myself. It's too much anxiety. And for me, it doesn't suit my style, but it's doable. And on Monday, if somebody reminds me, I will share the setup. Okay, so TSM. Somebody said that they're so boring, even their logo still hasn't changed since the inception. I don't disagree. Look at this P&L. This is like if somebody says, hey, can you give me a picture perfect P&L so I can teach an economics class or a business class? They'll give them this one. It's so good, it's fake looking. Anyway, solid company. Resistance 292. Anything higher than that, I think, would be difficult, but would be good news from the chart's perspective. I don't think they can beat 285. So 284, 288, 292. 284, 288, 292, challenge areas. If you're trading it and you're stuck, and if it goes there, exit, just in case. And drifting lower towards 250 is normal. It wouldn't say anything bad about the company. In fact, if they can close this weak thing here, that was way too fast. Look left. You know how you hear gap? Yeah, sometimes the gap is not in the chart. It's in the volume. Look at the volume gap that there is here. Look at the volume up here. Look at the volume down here. And look at the lack of volume in between. So that it's a weak chart. So close this fast candles. Okay. It's a stock to own for a long time. If I'm long, I'm not adding. When do they report? 50 days. TYG. Tortoise Energy. Oh, okay. I am not a fan of whatever the hell this is. Yeah. So do your homework. This company, I don't think I can do you a favor with charts. The chart is choppy. The P&L is choppy. You need to do homework. I can tell you that it's been rejected above 45 and it's been beloved below 40. So if that helps. Uber. What happened to Uber? Nobody came to me. What happened to Uber? Holy mackerel, 6%. That would have been an opportunity to sell puts or put spreads. We did an iron condor on Uber. Actually, it was an idea to short Uber, and I said optional. See, look, sell a credit call spread on the rally with Uber and optionally sell a credit put spread, and they both worked. Well, now it's falling into that credit put spread zone. So that's a support zone. So Uber becomes a candidate to go long and leave room for error, which is the strategy would be to sell a put or a put spread. I would sell a put to own shares in Uber. Just make sure to pick a level you're comfortable with. Like if I had a large account and I can lock up money for 6 to 8 months, I can sell next year's summer or late puts way down here and not even have to think about it and generate income. And if I get assigned shares, I'll take the shares. But that strategy only works in larger accounts because you can afford to lock up money for a while. Anyway, Uber levels. Hard to give you a level here. Anything above 88 is a problem. Like if it bounces back to 88, exit if you're trading. And you have support from here on down. And it's scattered. UPS. I decided not to ever involve myself in UPS or FedEx. They've become like the auto companies of old. They have more business that they know what to do with it, and they always have headlines of labor this and labor that. And look at how consistently they're selling the rallies. Wow. That is crazy. That is crazy. Look how consistently they're selling rallies. So remember that. They're selling a rally. Maybe this one is a change. I'm going to zoom out. What's that orange line? Okay, so there you go. I drew that whole path in orange. The whole thing, but they went way higher than what I thought they would. So now, if I want to go long UPS, this is my chance as an investment if I want to stash it away for the future. I think anything above 155 was an idiotic behavior. I don't know what happened here. This was stupid for a company that has a flat top revenue stream. This was one of those Wall Street's less ideal times. Conversely, you have support from 2020. So what's the logic of losing that? Nothing. The world was closed. So this one can find itself meandering up towards 130, 140 in the next year. So if you want to invest in UPS, you can buy shares, you can buy calls, you can sell covered calls against either of those two. You can sell a put to own shares, you can sell a put spread and buy a call spread, a combination of those two. That last one is the most realistic way of doing it. And there's no earnings to be done. So that is tradable. Okay, so I'm out as soon as we're talking uranium. I know nothing about it. I know it's a bubble, the idea of it. Everybody says, oh, we're going to go all nuclear, so everything that has nuclear in the world goes to high heaven. There's the utilities are at risk because of that. There's so much going on in there. Okay, so if you missed it the first time and you're not going in here, this is your chance. And this is about halfway. So a stock goes from point A to point B. It stutters halfway on the way up, and it's back to that halfway moment. It should be bulletproof at 36. Should be. Now, I don't know anything about this industry. It could be at 28. I don't know. But now it's in a solid support zone with a backup zone at 28. All right, later, Bo. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Okay, so I said what I said. I don't know much about the opportunity of the business. They are selling rallies right now. So the question is, do they want to get to 36 and 35? Or can they beat 47, which is not easy. So I just gave you two lines, 47 and 36. Visa. So talk about fake P&Ls. And talk about levels that are lost. 336. Show me how it's going to take out 336. I bet you I have a line there. I do. This from way back then. The whole zone, they just lost it. Right? Look at it. These two boxes, I don't know what they were. I'll delete them. Too much noise. And you have a backup support zone as well. So first support zone they lost, second support zone they're in, backup support zone anything at 308. So if somebody sold puts at the low 300s to own shares, I got you. I understand. If you can't afford to sell puts, you can sell a put spread down there. Area of interest means an open candle on the left, that they rally too fast. So anything in the high twos is a solid entry point. This is a stock you would own forever. And heavy sellers at 340. So VEEV. So Visa, I guess we can sell. VEEV. What the fudge? Viva. Provision, industry, cloud, global life sciences, whatever. Viva. So it had a great rally and it gave it all up. So if at any point in time you said, oh man, I wish I was long, and you're not getting long here, you should. I don't know anything about it. 230 matters. 215 matters. And don't lose 200. 230 support matters. 215 more support, better support. And please don't lose 200 because you open the door for 160, 170 minus. On the way up, I don't know what it'll take to take out 270 or 285. So 260, 270, 285 on the upside. Hopefully you wrote down those numbers. I can't help you with the investment part of it. Looks like a pretty good P&L. XLV, oh my God. Okay, so this is stock that gave us profits and gave us losses within hours. Something is going on in the healthcare. That's what this is. We bought a put, we made money, and then we lost money, and then we made money again, and then now we're losing money. So I sold a put against my puts. I'm not down much, if at all. But if somebody didn't sell a put, they're down. Use your judgment on it. Don't let it go to zero. If I look left, this has been a debacle area, and a big chunk is tied to one stock. So the top 10 companies are a huge chunk of it. The top 3 companies are a massive chunk. Lilly, I believe, is a gigantic chunk of the whole thing, and Lilly has been on crack. So we're trading Lilly, basically. And unfortunately for the shorts, Lilly is a monster stock. It can go to high heaven. It doesn't stop until it does, and then it takes off again. Don't ever short Lilly. So I guess I'm shorting Lilly. You can give up on it. I will give up on it this week if it doesn't give me greens again. That's the story there. Nothing has changed. It's shortable, it's extended, but my failure is to recognize how heavy Lilly is in there. I knew it was top. I didn't think it was that much. XRPC, yeah, avoid. So like Beto started at the pandemic high. Dang, that word again. Beto stock was released during the rally of 2021. And what happened was they looked horrific because lower lows and lower highs for its entire life. Unfortunately, they released this one at a high point of Ripple, not at the high of Ripple. I think it's been higher, and it's heading south. So XRP is a legit coin. It's, I think, number 3 now. It grew faster than stable coins. It's been in litigation for a long time. I think it started in 2012. It's an efficient way to do business on crypto. So if you've heard of Ethereum, if you do a wire, quick lesson, if you do a wire in regular banks, there's a Swift network that handles your money, okay? So these are processes that handle your transactions. So the Ether is the giant beast. Ethereum is the coin. Ethereum is the process, and the network. Ether is their coin, right? There's Solana, there's Cardano, and there's this one. Well, this one was locked up in litigation, and when they released it, it went from wherever it was to number 3. So clearly a legit competitor. I own coins in it. I would never sell them. We'll see where they go. So this one, if you wanted to get involved in Ether, And if this ETF is legitimate, I don't know who puts it out. I don't know if they're going to be around. Then I wouldn't mind accumulating some. My take is I've had experience in things that don't mirror the price. Like Bito's supposed to be tracking Bitcoin. But if you look at it, it's not. Bito never made a high, Bitcoin did. So there's a discrepancy there. So that detracts from the fact, oh, I'm investing in Ether. You're kind of not. You're hoping they can do what Ether does. So just be aware of that. Zscaler, the stock that runs big in both ways. How many times have I said that? So I bet you somebody thought they bought the bottom and bought the bottom and bought the bottom. That's what that sucker does. When it goes up, it crushes the competition. When it goes down, it crushes the hopefuls. It doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. It goes way beyond your expectations. So please respect its power. And look how far up it still is. So you do have support. Again, you had support here, here, and here. And you lose this support, you're probably going to 240, 230, 220. This is garbage price action. I don't care how good the story is. It wasn't that great. Look at the P&L. It's good year over year, but quarter over quarter, it's not improving that well. This is rhetoric, hope, extrinsic value. We will know in 2 days. They report earnings. They're going to be good earnings, no doubt. Yeah, cool. So it is a legit company. I would buy dips. This is not it. It's not for me. All right, we had 2 stocks to make up. Netflix was one. Don't buy. No, Netflix has been selling off for months, and it has a great P&L. The problem is how fast it rose, like Zscaler. Look, it looks just like Zscaler, this part, right? And now they're pricing it out. So I can tell you below 100, Netflix on the chart should be bulletproof. Everything below 100 is a blind long, as long as Wall Street doesn't crash. But then you can make that same statement down here. Look at all these garbage rallies. Sometimes you don't go back because the company changed its financials drastically. This one isn't. Look at this P&L. I never thought for a minute that this would be Netflix. So it is now a financial powerhouse. This is a money-making machine. Okay? So it's at what point do they say, all right, we're never going to go to 74 again? Because that's a weak spot in the chart. So I'm going to assume that and say anything around 92 is bulletproof. So if I have a sold put spread here and I can close it and sell a 92 naked put to get out of that jam at the risk of getting assigned at 92, I think I would do that. I said Netflix is okay as long as above 107. That last Friday was not so good. So now they need to bounce. Those are my comments on the chart. Netflix is okay as long as above 107. Well, we went below 107 and we tried to recover it and we can't. So now it may be drifting lower. Solid support zone. So it's in no man's land right now. Credit put spreads are okay. Sold puts are okay if you want to own shares. Adding to your problem from 120, not okay. If I got long at 120, I am not adding here. What is the second one? Grab. Almost same kind of stock, looks like on the chart. Only not nearly as good on the P&L. Okay, they're selling rally. And they're inside of a support zone. Backup support is at 440. Backup to the backup is at 4. Anything lower than that should be a blind buy. So if you wanted to sell puts to own shares and grab, you can. I don't know how to add it. How do you add a stock now? Freaking TradingView. How do I add a stock from here into a different watch list? Like it used to be, I right click here, I add it. What? My notes for the week, sell puts to buy Chewy. Buy stocks for UPS. Please share yours. What do you mean, please share yours? Okay, I'm going to stop the video here. We'll chat. Thanks for watching at home.